What's up, guys? It's your girl Kizzy, and I'm back with another video. Hello. Hey. Hi. Cheers. Coffee is so goddamn good. In today's video, I want to talk about creating consciously. At this time, we are definitely collectively releasing connections that don't serve us, releasing past connections too that have ended already, and we're sort of purging and cleansing and releasing those emotions that are attached to those past connections, as well as those past versions of us and our connection to that past version or those past versions of us, also the past versions of the people, right? And I just want to talk about how important it is going to be moving forward to create relationships consciously. And by that, I mean, when we are stepping into these new relationships in these new places and spaces with different people, right? New people and these new experiences with these new people, it's important to be conscious, right? Be cognizant, be aware of how you are going about creating the relationships and how you are going about starting them, right? As far as like communicating and being honest and being vulnerable and being open, right? I've learned through my own journey of releasing connections that don't serve me and releasing connections that I thought were good for me but are actually not. Well, that's really what releasing connections that don't serve me means. But you get what I'm saying. Like, through my own process of releasing connections that don't serve me and are not in my highest alignment, I have realized that relationships need more than love to work. They need more than attachment to work. They need more than words to work. They need real values to be upheld, right? So what do relationships need for you besides love? Like, what do you feel like you need in relationships besides love? Because I think a lot of the times we stay in relationships because of love, right? And we say it's like in the name of love, but at the same time it's like, and I've realized and I've learned, relationships need more than love. Like, they can't survive off of love alone, because love alone isn't going to create an alignment. Love alone isn't going to mean you're meant for each other. It's good to have love, and I think love is a beautiful thing, but at the same time it's like that's not all you need. And so for me, it's like I've realized that love needs honesty, right? It needs transparency. It needs a certain vulnerability from both people. And it needs to be something where not one person is being honest and the other isn't. It needs to be a space of we both are in this relationship and we both can be honest with each other and we both can be transparent with each other and we both can, you know, be straightforward. Because when we lack honesty, we lack trust. When we lack trust and honesty, well, what does a relationship really have without those two things? I feel like trust and honesty are a very are a very basic need for a relationship. And so what is a relationship without that, right? What is a relationship without consideration, right? In a relationship, both people should be considered. All parties should be considered. Not one person considering one person more than the other. An equal balance, right, of consideration, of trust. But again, consideration is something that I feel like relationships need, right? I can love you, but if you're not considering me, you can love me. But if I'm not considering you, what are we really doing, right? Like, are we actually creating a relationship consciously? Or are we just wanting to be together because of love because of attachment, right? So relationships, I feel like for me, they need honesty, they need transparency, they need trust, right? They need consideration. There needs to be, for me, loyalty, right? Yeah, sure, we can love each other, but what's love without loyalty, right? What's love without some sort of honoring system between both of us that we can trust and believe in? What's love without protection, right? If I can't, and again, it goes with loyalty. If I can't trust you to have my back, right? If I can't trust you to show up for me, right? If I can't count on you and know that you'll stand up for me, or you'll ride with me, or you'll, like I said, have my back, what do we have, right? What's love if there's abuse, right? Like, sure, you can love me, but if you're abusing and misusing me, like, what are we really doing here? Because I can love you, right? And you can be abusing and misusing me. You could love me and I could be abusing and misusing you. So what do we really have? Like, if we have those things incorporated. If you understand, I think you understand what I'm saying. But again, I think it's just like, we need more than love. We also need boundaries, right? We need standards. We need a level of, this is what I want. Do you want the same things? Like, there needs to be a sort of alignment when creating these new relationships. Because again, a lot of times we just get in relationships and we're not really doing it consciously. We're just like, oh, well, I want somebody around me. Oh, well, I want some attention. Oh, well, I can't be alone. Oh, well, da 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 da. And it's just like, temporarily that works. And I think it's good to have friendships, like, and relationships, connections generally, that, like, you know, some are serious, some are chill, some are this, some are that. Every relationship doesn't have to be like the other relationship. Like, every relationship doesn't have to be close and shit. But, like, it's good to know who you're around, right? Know what type of relationships you're getting into and what kind of connections you're creating. The point with that is, and this whole video, is that relationships need more than love to work. A relationship cannot work alone off of love. I have loved many people, and I had to realize, and you have to realize that, okay, just because I love them doesn't mean they're good for me, or that I'm aligned or good for them, right? Despite whatever they think, despite whatever I think, right? If God shows you time and time again, hey, like, bing, 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 I know you love this person, but do you see how they're doing this? Do you see what da-da-da-da? Do you understand da-da-da? Are you recognizing? Because the signs are going to keep coming. And these signs are not, oh, I'm just going to ignore it because I love you and I care about you. No, right? There needs to be an understanding and a recognition of relationships need more than love to work, right? They need communication. Communication is very important. And there's a difference in communicating versus, like, just talking, you know? Like, you can be talking to somebody. Does that really mean you're communicating? You can be listening to somebody. Does that really mean you're hearing them? Right? And so, like I was saying, relationships need more than love to work. They need communication, honesty, transparency, consideration, protection, loyalty, kindness, generosity. I wanted to say reciprocity, but I said generosity. Generosity? Generousness? Generosity. I think that's a word. And they need reciprocity, right? And, you know, when I ended my relationship with my ex-best friend, I really, when I was in my healing process, and even before my healing process, when I ended the friendship, it was really hard for me. because I'm like, I love you like so much. But like, I am seeing and recognizing that like love is not all that I need. Love is not what's going to carry us through the next year. Like, what's going to carry us is trust, right? Is honesty, is transparency, is loyalty. And we don't have those things. And those things have quite literally been destroyed. And so it's like, I couldn't stay, right? No matter how much I loved her. And I still love her. That's what inspired me to make this video, because I was in my feelings and I was like, damn, like I miss her. And I love her. And it makes me sad to think about how she's not going to be in my life anymore and how much I do love her, but like relationships need more than love. Because I think best friends are like such a big part of your life, and friendship breakups really fucking hurt. You know, I had to get real with myself. And I continue to have to be honest with myself about like, just because I love her doesn't mean we're a good fit anymore. Just because I love her doesn't mean we're aligned anymore. You know, and I think relationships, they also need to have the same direction, right? The people in them need to have the same direction. And there has to be a want on both ends to grow, to heal, to change, to be better. And that's not always the case. And I don't think that in the relationship with my best friend, we were just on the same track of that. Like, I don't think it's that she didn't want to be better, she didn't want to grow, she didn't want to heal, but like, at the end of the day, you have to sort of see actions and take actions for what they are, and you know, how things are going for what they are versus like what you want them to be, right? Or what you want to elusively create them out to be. Because I think that's another thing in relationships too. We can get caught in like the illusion of like the potential and the idea of this and that, if they could just do this or that, if I could just, but at the end of the day, people have to want what you want in order to keep a relationship. You can't keep somebody that doesn't want to be kept. You can't change somebody that doesn't want to be changed. You can't heal somebody that doesn't want to heal. You can't grow with somebody who doesn't want to grow, you know? And again, relationships need more than love. And they need, like I said before, that alignment. And so, what do you want to do differently within these new connections, within yourself, right? Connection to yourself, but also to others, because self is a relationship too. The relationship that you have with you also matters, which is something to take into consideration. Like, how are you treating you? How are you holding space for you, right? Because that matters just as much. And in all reality, in all honesty, you are the only person who is permanent in your life. So you definitely want to be the priority, right? And it's not bad to be the priority in your life. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, that's narcissistic. Oh, that's selfish. You're selfish. That's not true. Like, in this world, I think we're just so accustomed to like doing and being everything for everybody else and like pleasing everybody else except ourselves. And now that people are doing that, and self-love and, you know, self-advocation is becoming more of a thing, people are like, oh, like everybody's so selfish, everybody's so narcissistic. First off, I need you to look up the word selfish, and I need you to look up the word narcissistic, okay? Self-love isn't narcissism. Now, of course, you can be narcissistic and perform it as self-love, right? But that doesn't automatically mean you're narcissistic, or you're experiencing narcissism, which like is a whole other topic, because I feel like a lot of people, like every people, have narcissistic traits in them, but it doesn't mean they're like a narcissist, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, how do you want to create these relationships differently, right? What can you do differently that messed up your relationship in the past, your relationships in the past? Was it not communicating? Was it not being transparent? Was it withholding? Was it being emotionally reactive, right? What was it for you? And how can you show up differently in this next or these new connections, right? Which is something to really get excited about. I've definitely lost a lot of people along my journey, and it has been a very weird, uncomfortable, hurtful process. It's like we've seen the light and dark aspects to relationships through our past relationships and maybe even current relationships. And it's like, so with that, what is it that you want in these new relationships and what is it that you don't want, right? Maybe you experienced yelling in arguments and now you're like, okay, I don't want to ever get to that space, right? Maybe you experienced betrayal and you're like, okay, well, now I want honesty and transparency. Maybe you experienced abuse and now you're like, okay, well, I know I don't want that, right? I want kindness, I want care, I want a softness. I was gonna say a delicacy. You know what I mean? Like a delicateness, like a softness, like a nurturing, right? I experienced watching movies with this person. Okay, I know I want to keep watching movies with my friends and my relationships, my connections in general, right? I experienced a lot of laughing. I know I like laughing and cracking jokes with people. I know I like going to comedy shows with people, right? Just an example. What else? I like eating ice cream with my friends. Okay, now I know, like, I can keep that, I can keep, the fact that I like to eat ice cream with my friends, or I like to laugh with them, I like to party with them. Like, what do you want to keep? Basically, it's just like, look at the light and dark side and like, okay, what do you want to keep? Right? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to keep? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to keep? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to keep? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to keep? We've lost people and we will continue to lose people because it is life, right? People come and go. It's just like switching lanes. You do it all the time and you're not going to stay in the same lane forever. But when you go in different lanes, other people will get behind you, other people will get in front of you. You're not going to be alone forever, right? If you're alone at all or whatever the case may be, right? So we've lost people and now we get to decide like what we want to keep, what we want to use, what we want to toss. We can really literally consciously create these new connections. And so that's what I mean, like consciously pick and choose and understand and learn from the relationships that you've had and recognize what isn't working, what is working, and what do I want to keep using and what do I want to release? What ideologies of relationships do I want to use? What ideologies do I want to let go of? Like, even if it's an old relationship, right, an old connection that you're reinventing or is starting over, okay, like, how do you want to reinvent it? Right? How do you want it to be different than it was if you want it to be different? And I think another thing is to don't force relationships. Force, don't flow. I mean, don't do that. Flow, not force, right? Because when you're forcing things, it's not gonna work, baby. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it real with you, because I will. I do. You want to flow, not force relationships. Because anything built on force is only going to be temporary satisfaction, right? If I build a house and I start building it today and then it's up tomorrow, like, I force the fuck out of that shit. I rush the fuck out of that shit. So of course it's going to break down within the next year because what did I expect? The foundation was fucking like, I was forcing a deadline. I was forcing me to hurry up and finish. And so, take your time in these relationships and let things flow, let things move how they're going to move, and don't try to push anything to be a certain way. Don't try to make things to be what you want them to be, how you want them to be. Don't try to fill voids with people that you've lost. Like, just let things sort of happen organically. And I think that'll be really healthy for the collective at this time when it comes to these new relationships and releasing old relationships. Even in releasing old relationships, like, if something's flowing out of your life, let it, right? Don't force it to stay. Don't force it to be for you, right? Don't force it to not go. Let it. And I know that's easier said than done, right? But if it's not meant for you, my love, it's just not meant for you, okay? And I wish I had somebody to tell me this in all the times that I gave and gave and gave, chance after chance after chance after chance, because it's not really what it's cooped up to be. Like, yeah, I could say, oh, when I love people, I really love them and I really fight for them. And that's honorable. That's great. But at the end of the day, it's like, but at what cost of me? At what cost of my own sanity? You know? And so I wish I had somebody to tell me, like, hey, like, love isn't all you need, right? You need more than that. It's okay to leave people and still love them and still care about them, right? You leaving doesn't mean you don't love or care about them, right? Just means time is up. And like I said with my ex-best friend, you know, it made me really, and it makes me sad because I think of her randomly and I'll just be like, damn, like, you're really not in my life anymore, you know? And we have these relationships where we envision a certain path and how things are supposed to be and how they're supposed to go and how they're supposed to pan out, but they don't always pan out that way. And it hurts because you thought we were friends, right? Not just with my best friend, but with anybody. You know, we had this connection, but we were just like this, but we've always been, but things change, things grow, right? Things expand, and we have to learn to let them. We have to go through the process of releasing over and over and over and over. I've looked at my best friendship breakup over and over and over and over. And I'm tired of looking at it because I'm just like, why? You know, it hurts. It brings pain. But that's the point. I need to release the pain. I need to purge that energy. I need to continue inviting love, right? Continue transforming my perspective. Because it's like, yes, people will hurt you and they are going to hurt you. And yes, it may feel personal in the beginning. And it's okay for it to be and feel personal. But after that, it's like, okay, it's not about you. Like, there's a higher perspective to things that I feel like when we're so close, we don't really see. And I think that I've had to learn that with my best friendship in order for me to heal, because I can't fucking heal if I'm like, oh my God, she did this, she did that. I'm just, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I think when you experience what you don't want in relationships, it helps you figure out and find what you do. And you just got to be honest with yourself. And so I'm going to end out this video by reading a page from the Book of Light. We're going to see what page Spirit wants us to read that goes in hand with this message. And I'll end the video, okay? Let's see. What message do you have, Spirit, for this video? What message do we need to hear right now? What message do we need to hear right now when it comes to consciously creating these new relationships? Okay, we have a third way. I don't think I've ever gotten this one. I have been telling you what you have to do. Sometimes the thing I tell you to do are difficult. Other times, they are unimaginable. I tell you to do things that are plain and simple or complex and essential. And of course you try to do them, that is clear. But you do not always succeed. You are not always able to. You have not always evolved enough to do so. And this is where guilt steps in. I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Guilt. From here on, you are faced with two problems. Not having done what I asked you to do, which naturally causes your soul some embarrassment, and feeling guilty for not having done what I asked, which naturally causes me some embarrassment. But this is not the issue. And what if you were to find a third way of doing things instead of doing what I ask and then feeling guilty for having failed? A more feasible way. If I ask you to run 100 meters and you are unable to do so, what would be more advantageous? Not to run at all, or to run 50, 60, 70 meters, or maybe 20 or 30? To run some distance at least. In this case, the more you run, regardless of whether or not you manage 100 meters, I repeat, the more you run, the closer you get to your original destination, the one I have picked out. Now think about some things I ask of you. Some are impossible for you. Impossible for now. Because if you start doing part of these things now and keep going in that direction, you will become closer to my objective. For example, you may not be able to forgive someone, but you may treat that person more lovingly. You may not be able to treat him lovingly, but you can treat him with more respect. There is always something you can do. Never forget, every step we take toward the light is a step we take away from the darkness. Spirit. And so what I'm getting with that is just like, take a step. Doesn't matter what step. Just take a step in the direction that you know you need to go, right? You recognize you need to cut somebody off today. It doesn't mean you have to do it today, right? You can give yourself time. You can scope out the situation. You can keep processing it, but understand that it does need to happen. It is going to happen, right? You may need to establish some things in your life. It's going to take some time. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen, right? Just take the steps, take your time, but don't stall, right? There's a difference in taking your time and like stalling and also like going into denial. But I want you to translate that on your own. Take whatever resonates for you from that message, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for honoring me. Bye, guys.